Every time you play so smooth, makes me wanna groove. Patrice says groove.
Welcome to Seniors Matter. I'm Brenda Charles Edwards, the host of Seniors Matter. We're live every Friday at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on www.rainieravenueradio.world, your South Seattle community radio station. You can also listen to us on YouTube, Facebook.com, Twitch TV, Twitter, or what is it called now? KQ? I don't know. And of course, on the Rainier Avenue Radio app. We feature interviews with people that provide services or have valuable information for seniors, their families, and the community. Do you need financial documents notarized? Are you a person that needs documents read to you for clarity or completion? Call me Brenda. No, just call me at Black Orchid Notary 206-683-2636. Tell me where, I'll meet you there. Well, I'm really excited today because I have a very special guest on. Her name is Miss Vicky White. She's a travel agent extraordinaire, and she's the owner of Vicky's Magical Travel. And I just got off a cruise that she put together, and it was fantastic. Although I must say that was the first time I've done a 12-day cruise, so that was a little different. But we had a good time anyway. So I'd like to welcome to the show Miss Vicky White. Hey, Miss Vicky, where are you? Oh, there you are. Hey, girl, how you doing? Uh-oh, we're not hearing you. Unmute yourself.
There we go. Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Good. I'm doing well.
You see, it's liquid sunshine is happening right now.
Yes, liquid sunshine here in Seattle.
Oh, well, it's part of the, what is it, fall we're into now? Or is
it is fall.
No,
it's fall.
Okay, good. Vicky is a big-time gardener, so she knows all these things because I'm just like, okay, it's cold and it's raining. But anyway, Vicky, let's get down to serious business. Tell my audience a little bit about you and then especially how you became a travel agent.
Oh, okay. So I went on a cruise with a girlfriend and her husband couldn't go, so she asked me. This was in the early 2000s. And the job that I had at the time and that I retired from, we were going through some layoffs and I was the one handing out the layoffs. So I told her, yes, I would definitely go on this cruise. And we upgraded from an inside cabin to a balcony, which was the best thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up sitting out on that balcony, kind of rejuvenating myself and exhaling after handing out
pink slips.
Pink slips. I mean, because that is stressful, definitely for the person receiving it, but it's not easy on the person giving it also.
Right.
Because you're affecting their livelihood. Mm-hmm. So it really helped me regroup, refresh, and rejuvenate. And I got off that cruise ship. It was only a 7-day cruise. I got off that cruise ship and said, I would like to do this every year. Mm. And I've been cruising every year, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times, except when the pandemic hit. So right. I've done over 40 cruises.
So how did the pandemic affect you, Vicky?
Everything
From a standpoint.
Yeah, everything went to a standstill. Everything went to a standstill. So luckily, I was not dependent on what I make through travel because of my previous employment.
Right.
So, but everything went to a standstill. Some people got credit, some people got cash back. Matter of fact, I was supposed to be going to China May of 2020, and everything shut down in March of 2020. Right. So we got my travel companion, junior high school friend, and I were going. We got a travel credit, and that we just used this past May.
Oh, wow.
We went to Paris and London. She had never been to either places, so I was a tour guide.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I like that.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it really was, it was really bad. And for the cruise line, it was especially horrific because a lot of the other travel industries that are based in the United States were able to get corporate, I call it welfare. They might call it a bailout.
Right.
And so, but with the cruise lines, because none of them, except for a couple of ships, are registered in the United States. So they weren't able to get the corporate welfare.
That's odd.
No, well, so if you reside in the United States, and if your business is here in the United States, the United States helped you during this time. But the cruise line, because they don't want to, the cruise line, they don't want to adhere to America's labor laws. So they registered their cruise line outside the United States.
I get it now. Okay, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the latest travel trends, Vicky?
Well, the hottest market is Africa, and specifically South Africa and East Africa. That is booming. Matter of fact, I am reigniting the Seattle chapter. It's called APTA, and that has to do with nothing but Africa travel. The demand is so great. But I always tell people, it's where you want to travel. That is the trend. Mm-hmm. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go see the Treasury in Jordan? Well, not right now because of what's happening on the Gaza Strip, or Santorini. And so it's wherever you want to go. That should be your trend. But if you want to follow what the numbers are saying, Africa is the hottest place.
So do you have a tour going to Africa, don't you?
Actually, they're in Ghana right now, and they're having an amazing time. And then I'm going to Africa in February, and I'm going to Tanzania, doing a 4-day safari there, then going to Zanzibar for 3 days and just, beach time, and then Nairobi, 4 days in Nairobi, and then I'm coming back to the States. But I try to go to places first to see what works, and then I go out and promote it.
Well, that's what one should look for in a travel agent, is that has knowledge of the region where the person wants to go, or at least be able to access that. So you can tell them. Because I was talking to you recently that Paul and I want to go to Spain and Portugal. And I think I have the picture of that. Because there it is.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Vicky, so tell my audience what you do. So I'm telling you, we want to go to Spain and Portugal. What do you do next?
Well, I tell you that I partner with this company called Premier. They are a vendor, and they put amazing itineraries together, and it includes air. And because you're located in Seattle, that's where your air will originate. But they do any city. And they go out, look for the best hotels, the best meals, and some of the most fantastic tours. Matter of fact, I'm going on Premier tour to a culinary tour to Tuscany. Doesn't that sound amazing?
Yeah, I think we have a picture of the culinary one too.
So, we're going to one of the oldest gelato factories. We're going to do truffle hunting. We're not going to do the hunting.
Wait a minute. What is truffle hunting? What do you
mean? Truffle is a mushroom, and that they have dogs that go out and hunt them. And what it is, the truffles are buried by nature. And the dogs go out and sniff, and then the owner of the dog, or someone who's working with the owner, will gently dig up these truffles, because they're little small things. They're little small things, about like that. Okay. And that you can dice them, you can put them in your Italian sauce, whatever you want. But they are highly sought after.
Sounds like they're delicacies.
It is a delicacy. It really is. So, but getting back to Portugal and Spain, you're going to, if you decide to do that, you're going to go to a lot of places that the Moors, and I don't know if you know anything about the Moors, but they were They are indigenous from Africa, but they were so far ahead of their time that they brought a lot of the mathematics to, Europe. They brought cleanliness to Europe. So you're going to traverse through some of those places in some of their castles that are still standing in Portugal and in Spain. And of course, you're going to see flamenco dancing and tapas, which are small bites. You're
Right.
going to love it.
Oh, I know. Well, we love good food, so that's definitely the way to go. So,
So the bottom line,
yes.
the latest trend is Africa, but it's really wherever you want to travel to.
Well, yes. And we have a couple things. We always go to Mexico, Puerto Vallarta in particular, and I enjoy that, still do, but I wanted to add something else. We just got off that cruise, and the weather was. We
Oh.
really wanted to go to St. Martin. We were so excited about that, but we didn't get to go because of the storm. So we had to, they took us to this other place called Amber Cove. But, when you're already excited about seeing something, I mean, it didn't hold a candle to what I'm sure St. Martin would have been. But that's okay. I'd rather be safe than sorry. So that's the main thing. Vicky, when you and I were talking once, and you were talking about another trend is solo travelers. And I remember many, many years ago that wasn't that popular. And then the pay, not the pay, but the fee that was charged was almost seemed like it was a penalty to be a solo traveler. So what's happening now?
So let me give you a little history about solo traveling. And yes, they were penalizing people, especially on the cruise line. It would be someone. So let's say you and Paul were traveling and Paul got sick, but you still wanted to go because you're with the group of friends. They would still charge you a single rate, and the single rate is double what you paid minus the extra package taxes. For instance, so you and Paul pay a rate each for double occupancy. You pay the cruise rate and you pay the taxes on each cruise.
Mm-hmm.
So Paul can't go. So now you have to pay your cruise and your tax, and then that second person's cruise, but you don't pay the tax. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Yes.
So it's double the cost of the cruise, but you only pay tax on one portion of it.
All right.
Okay. So now NCL, Norwegian Cruise Line, they were one of the first to do this. They created a solo category, and it was a cluster of cabins, and it was just not as large as an interior cabin, a little bit smaller. You got your bed, you have your bathroom, you've got your TV. It's more like a studio, but they call it solo or studio. And it was a cluster. And in the cluster, nothing but solo travelers. So they would do a cocktail hour. They would have beverages. They would have snacks. They made it very community oriented, communal, so that you never felt alone. So now NCL has come out. So that was the cluster. Now NCL has come out that not only will they have that, but they'll also have a solo cabins for interior cabins, for ocean view, and for balcony.
I was just going to ask you, is there going to be a balcony?
For balcony. And I haven't booked anyone in there yet, but I have a client who wants to go to someplace warm in January, and she wants to travel by herself. So I'm going to start looking for her a trip. But that is really an amazing thing. And then a lot of like river cruising. Oh, I got to tell you about river cruising.
Please do,
love it.
we thought about that too.
Oh, love river cruising. And a lot of river cruises have some solo cabins designated just for solo travelers. The concern, what I don't like about it is, so typically river cruising only has 30 to 50 cabins on board.
Okay.
Depending on the destination. And the solo travel, so they've got like 3 levels of travel. You know, the top where normally your suites or balconies, and then mid-range, you got a French balcony where you can just step out maybe 12 to 16 inches. You can't sit out there. And then you've got below the water line or just at the water line. And it's a porthole or a window that if you're below 5'6", you won't be able to even look out of that window. You'll just have some light. So that's where they put the solo travelers.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
And I get a bit claustrophobic, and I've never experienced it. So, but yeah, so it really is booming now. They are waiving solo travel fees because even if you're on a land trip, they typically charge you anywhere from $300 to high, $1,000. If
Now, what
you
do you
tra-
mean? What do you mean by that, Vicky?
So just like on a cruise, if you decide that you want to go on a land trip and you're traveling by yourself,
Okay.
they're going to charge you a supplement. That's what it's called,
All
a
right.
single supplement.
Okay. I
And
guess so.
yeah, but if you book your hotel by yourself, you're just going to pay full rate. So I don't know why they do it. I guess I shouldn't be saying that, but I really don't understand.
We won't tell anybody.
Shh. Yes.
So, do you prefer cruising or land trips?
Well, it all depends. Well, because I like both. I absolutely love land travel, and I love cruising. I like land cruising when it's dark, gray, and rainy here in Seattle, like January, February. It used to be December, but it's less hectic in February. It's more calm. I don't have children, so I like to cruise when there aren't any children or very not a lot of children. So I tend to cruise in the month of February, especially because it's typically very cold in Seattle, very rainy, very damp, and I love going to someplace that is sleeveless weather.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
So
understand.
yeah, so I love that. I do not cruise in the summer months. I've done it, but I've done it in Europe. And cruising in Europe is very different from cruising in the United States because typically cruising in the US, you have several sea days on a cruise, on any given cruise.
Right.
In Europe, because they figured that you're traveling to a destination internationally, that they might have one sea day. If not, every day might be a port. So by the time you come home, you're going to need another vacation.
Right.
So solo travel is really up and coming, and now companies are acknowledging it and making it easier and not so expensive on your pocketbook.
Gotcha. If you're just tuning in, you're listening live to Seniors Matter with your host, Brenda Charles Edwards, on www.rainieravenueradio.world, your South Seattle community radio station. Do you know what's the best legacy we can give ourselves and our loved ones? Join me on Zoom for a group or individual session on legacy end-of-life planning. Now back to my guest, Miss Vicky White of Vicky's Magical Travel. She'll turn your travel ideas into magical memories. So, Vicky, what is, and I just saw this recently, but what is a private terminal?
A private terminal? I
Right.
don't know.
You know how, okay, so you know what's been happening? I know with Delta anyway.
Oh, that.
Yes. 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 That.
Delta. So that means typically you will have to purchase a Delta One ticket or first class ticket.
Mm-hmm.
But typically Delta One it surpasses their first class ticket. Emirates does the same thing. Even Emirates coach is a pretty good ticket to get if you fly Emirates. And I'll tell you a little bit more secret about Emirates and Qatar Airline. But it is a private terminal where they take you from when you check in, you go, they actually walk you to a private terminal, which is a lounge, and then you have beverages, almost any type of beverage you want. that have food, a variety of food. You can take a shower. You can do work on your laptop. It is very high end. And then when you board the plane, you have your own private entrance. And also you have a private exit when the plane lands.
So is that mainly for international flights then?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay.
All only for international.
Okay.
Yes. Because I don't think you cannot do Delta One domestic. You can do Delta One. You can do first class domestic, meaning flying within the United States or
Right.
Canada or Mexico. But anytime you're flying internationally is when you can do Delta One. I've done it twice, and it's pretty nice. They did not have your private access though, but
You
it's
did Delta One?
yes.
Oh, you go, girl. Okay. I want to be like you when I grow up. All
It is
right.
an experience. It really is.
Oh,
It
I'm
really is.
sure. Yes.
Yeah.
So traveling is a journey, to say the least. And many things have changed since deregulation umpteen years ago, when we thought that that was the worst change that could happen. And then the pandemic hit, and we're still dealing with changes. But what's your best advice for a traveler? And packing. Let's talk about how to pack.
Uh, so packing, years ago, I went to Mexico. And when I was returning home, got in line, and they opened up my luggage and they just went through everything.
Mhm.
And at the time, what I'm trying to think was, yeah, TSA had already been instituted, but I was leaving out of Puerto Vallarta, PVR,
Mhm.
and they just went through everything. So I now pack everything in packing cubes. I love packing cubes because the ones that I use, you can even compress them. But I have a packing cube for my PJs and my underwear, for my tops, for my bottoms, for my toiletries. And when you open it up, you just see these packing cubes,
Mm.
and it's all neat. So I love packing. And please, I tell everyone, do not take a large amount of shoes. And
Why, Vicky? Why not?
I always tell, if it's a land trip, always take a good pair of walking shoes
Mm.
that you have tried on before you
Oh,
left
yes.
on your trip, or not just tried on, but walked in them,
Wore.
broken them. Yes, wore them. And then do 2 or 3 bottoms, pants, or shorts, and then several tops that you can interchange, and a skirt or a dress, so that if you're going to go out in the evening, do that. And then a shawl, because you don't know what air conditioning is going to be
Right.
like. So you
Right.
always want something. And if you're going to be going to like Turkey or Dubai or Abu Dhabi or places like that, if you think you're going to go into temple, just to be on the safe side, bring something where your shoulders are covered, because they don't want your shoulders
Right.
uncovered,
Right.
and something below the knee.
Mhm.
And typically, yeah, and I'm not quite sure if you need to be completely covered if you're going to go into their temple. All I do know for sure is, especially in Turkey, they want your shoulders covered, no midriff showing, and no shorts.
Mhm. That makes sense.
Hmm.
And I think and by your saying this, what I hope my audience will glean is that you should always check to see what the country you're going to requirements are, from religion to buying. I mean, I always think about the caning incident of the young man that went to the Philippines, and he's marking up the town, and then he gets caught, and then he gets caned, and he's crying help for the United States. Excuse me, did you not read that that's against the law? Hello. But anyway, I won't dwell on that.
Well, sometimes Americans tend to think their privilege will extend to wherever they're traveling to.
Right.
And as Brenda stated, please read up on what the customs or what is allowed. For instance, the group that went to Ghana, there were two young women in 20s and 30s that like to wear, I call them Daisy Dukes.
Oh
I
gosh.
call them
Oh,
booty
no.
shorts
Oh yes. Oh.
that they wear around Seattle. And I asked them, I asked them, I didn't tell them, I just to please not do that because Ghana is a pretty conservative country.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sent them articles from Ghana, their tourism board, to let them know that it wasn't just me, is
Right.
that's what they're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to do when you're traveling outside the country, and especially if you're in your 20s, 30s, I try to send that type of information so that they are not embarrassed or that they're not looked at and frowned upon.
Right. Absolutely. And thank you for doing that. Because who knows, they might end up in jail.
That very well could be.
Yeah.
Yes, very well could be.
So Vicky, we're almost out of time, and I can't believe how
Oh.
fast this is going. And I'm going to see you later today, so I get to talk to you more. But is there anything else you'd like to share with my audience before we leave?
Yeah. So when I retired from Boeing,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that they were really promoting is health and wellness. And they would send out tips. And one of the tips that I absolutely love, and I still do, is they said, take 5 minutes, step away from your computer, and then just daydream about planning a trip or where you would like to go to.
Mm.
Trust me, if you're a traveler, that always brings up the endorphins and the smile. And that leads me to my best travel tip. Take your best asset, which is your smile.
Oh, I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. Yes, yes, yes. Well, Miss Vicky, it has been wonderful having you on, and I'm going to ask you to come back. I'm not going to say when, but I want you to come back
I would love
because,
to.
because you have so much valuable information, and we didn't really touch on a lot on your business as far as what made you. Well, we did touch on what made you do it, but I know there's more going on. But I just want
Yeah.
to say you're phenomenal in so many ways, but you're definitely phenomenal as a travel agent. I'm glad that I have had the experience, and we're going to get others to have the experience too.
Wonderful. Please feel free to call me, Vicky's Travel. And I should have put my information down, but it's my phone number is area code 206-972-1130. And my email is magical227 at icloud.com. Phone number 206-972-1130. Email magical227 at icloud.com. Thank you, Brenda, for having me.
You're
I
so
really
welcome.
enjoyed this.
Thank you. Thank you. I have too. And you can also reach out to me, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, for Miss Vicky's information. Thank you to my listening, watching audience, or I should say viewing audience. And don't forget that this is football season. So Rainier Avenue Radio is going to be covering at Memorial Stadium the O'Day versus Auburn Riverside. Thank you again, Miss Vicky. I will talk with you later. And thank you, Patrice Isley, for letting me use your music. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Be safe and live your life like it's golden. Bye.